Hello, hello, hello. Welcome everybody to Jen and Hannah Talk Syrvivor Syracuse Season 2 Snakes and Secrets. I am Geneva and this is Hannah.
That's me.
And today we are talking about episode 5. You actually are the title, which we'll get more into later in the episode.
But title once again.
Hannah's just iconic. She just continues to be the story. She is the narrative. She is Syrvivor Syracuse season 2.
I am the main character.
You are. It's very clear.
But let's cover this episode.
Yeah. So I actually titled this Transitional Tribe because I think that kind of explains really what this episode is. Basically what ends up happening is there was a tribal council. And with this tribal council, Daisy was voted out. And unfortunately, she played a fake idol and that sent her home. And so I'm like, wow, okay. I'm basically kind of at the bottom of this tribe with somebody I'm not sure if I fully trust right now, Mitchell. But it looks like I see another group of people there, Zeleny, and basically Luke says that it's time for a tribe swap. And me personally, I was very excited for a tribe swap, especially because I just knew that I needed a new life in this game, and I felt like a tribe swap would be very beneficial to me. How about for you, Hannah? What were your thoughts when Luke announced that there would be a tribe swap?
Well, that day started in my car picking everybody up for the day's challenge. And we got there early when you guys were still doing your tribal. So we got to watch your tribal from afar, from like in our car. And that was really neat. And so we get there and Luke's like, "What's today, Hannah?" And we're like, "It's the tribe swap." And going into this, it was obviously very exciting. That's like the first big milestone that you've made in the game. And it's like a pat on the back. Right? And you finally, I don't know, if you get stuck on a first tribe that you don't vibe with, or you're on the bottom, or you just want a change in scenery, like a tribe swap could be like really cool.
Yeah.
It's where like people will start taking you seriously and people will maybe like start playing.
Absolutely. You are right about that. So Luke basically starts off this episode saying, "So Geneva, you're a fan." And I'm just like, Luke, why are you doing this? Why are you exposing the big fans of Survivor, like at all these tribals and all these events? Like, I don't know why you keep doing this. This is not going to help my game. I think I'm already perceived as a threat because of either what I may potentially have in the game for being a grad student. There are just so many things. And I'm just like, you don't have to mention I'm a fan. I think almost everybody on the cast is a fan to some extent. I mean, I know Andrew had never watched a Survivor episode. So like that was slightly different.
No, they're not fans. I'm sorry. No. I'm sorry. You're not. No, if you're like, "Oh, I watched season 40 and my favorite person is Tony," I don't think you're a fan. I think you're a fake fan. Like,
well, season 40 was also starting to air at that time, so we didn't even have season 40 yet, so I don't know. I mean, like, it was kind of coming up.
The people we played with are not fans. No.
Okay.
No. Our guest today, definitely a fan. You a fan? Yeah. Me a fan?
Well, he's a super fan.
But I think it's a little generous, Geneva, to say that everyone is a fan.
Fan and super fan are different things. So
casual. They are casual fans. If you have okay. Anyway, yes.
Anyway, this is not the point. This is not the point.
Luke likes to out people and say, "Geneva, as a fan, blah 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 blah."
I'm just going to say that most people they're probably a fan enough to go play a college Survivor. That's kind of what I mean. Like, you have to be that, like, somewhat interested in Survivor.
I don't know. From what we saw, we'll talk about that.
Okay, yes.
Anyway.
We'll go
on future episodes, but let me just say,
transition section. That's how Luke describes this. And, I, of course, aside from saying that, he was asking me, like, what do I think about this? I'm like, this could be 2 or 3 tribes. I don't know. Some people were saying maybe 6. I was like, that doesn't make any sense.
Well, that doesn't make any.
I don't know. So that was weird to me.
No, like, you cannot have a tribe of less than 5 people. Like, once it gets to like 4 people, and Survivors even had less than that, and they learned from their mistakes and they never did it again. But you just can't have a tribe of like 4 or less people. That's like, you can't send 4 people to tribal. That's gonna result in
chaos.
Okay, like,
it's terrible. Like,
just a lot of like, what if like 3 people at that tribal play idols? What if what if it ties and you go to rock? It's just not.
It's not great. But anyway, point is, transition section. This is something that is very unprecedented in Survivor.
He doesn't explain the whole day's events. He goes, we're going to have a challenge. The winners are going to be immune for this week, and they're going to basically decide, like, not be captains, but basically skip ahead to their future tribes.
Yes.
So basically
they'll have power, but we don't know what this power is yet. But he's like, there's one tribe. There isn't a merge. It's not a tribe swap yet. But this challenge will determine what tribe that we end up on. So we were all just like, this doesn't make any sense.
And then he goes, Sean, join the game.
And I'm just like, literally, you see my reaction, and I'm just like, really? I survived 4 tribals now because, Delaney went to 2, we went to 2. You're adding another person into the mix, someone from season 1, and then like Sean was also the judge in the first episode for
somebody that's already had a chance to play, and in that has a big ego from when they played because they think that they were entitled to win. So like they think that they should have won, which I think is a little funny. But anyway, this guy comes back, Sean, and finally revealed to the rest of the Zeleny at this point all knows. We've known since the first tribal, that aftermath. And then Luke gets us, he's like, okay, it's time for the Survivor Columbine.
Yeah. So he says and reiterates there are 2 winners, and then those 2 winners will make up the 2 tribes. And then basically our task was to transport 2 balls and run with the ball all the way to the bucket, drop it in the bucket, run back, and do the same with another ball. And then we had to solve a Syrvivor Syracuse related puzzle. What some people did not realize that the actual Syrvivor Syracuse related phrase was Syrvivor
Syracuse. So we were, so as we were waiting to go, because we each went one by one, I was like, what if the puzzle is Syrvivor Syracuse? And I do my thing. I get there and I overthink it. It was the most frustrating thing that, right, you finally get a puzzle. Imagine it. You're doing all these contests. You're doing this a cappella. You're doing some weird like emoji games and some trivia. And you know all these things about your cast members, but they give you trivia that you don't know, like the one thing that you don't know about them, and you're still losing. And then you finally get a puzzle, like a very Survivor challenge. And it's the easiest phrase in the books.
Can I say for me was so when Luke started talking about how a Survivor Syracuse related, I actually glanced at the bag with all the letters and I saw there were Y's in there. I was like, Survivor Syracuse, it has to be. So for me, the barrier of this challenge was the weather. So from what you all don't realize, it was really, really cold. Really, really cold. So running and sprinting back and forth really caused a lot of people to be affected. So especially people who went like first.
Football. How long we were running? We were on a football field, so I don't know how many yards it was, but it was back and forth puzzle. And people did not do well. People did not do well.
It got to the point where literally like a decent number of people were like just coughing and like hacking for a good 30 minutes. It was pretty brutal. I think especially for the people who were like sick, because Summer had the flu, I think, and then you had Jack who still was getting over the pneumonia. So like there was
Andrew, then Andrew who was hungover from the night before, and like even left late because all the first few weeks of this season, it's rush. Syracuse does their rush in the spring semester. So Mike, Andrew, Addie, they are out. Those three players, their minds are elsewhere. They're not in the game yet. So
yeah. And I think for me, so like I was doing well with the running, but then I was so tired that like even though I knew what the puzzle was, I was literally laying down pieces like S, Y, R. Like that's like I was just moving in slow motion. But considering I was the third fastest girl, so that's good. I did in like 2 minutes 35 seconds, so like that's pretty solid. And there are a couple people that timed out, so that was interesting to see. But what we do see is that Austin and Mike are victorious. Austin got 1 minute and 41 seconds, and Mike got 1 minute and 43 seconds. So basically, looks like Austin and Mike, congrats, you have immunity. And now you get to choose which tribe you want to head. So Austin chose Maroon 9. So now Austin's now officially part of Maroon 9.
No, it's the color. It's the new
tribe. No, that's how they were still referring to the tribes by their name, Hannah. So
he said red. He's like, do you want the red or the green?
Well, because Luke was not going by the proper colors. It's a maroon.
Anyway, yes. So like
so Austin had it, and then Austin chose to save Sean, which I think is a good strategic play, because I think Sean doesn't really have many relationships in the game. He does know Derek, and we do find out in the very, very beginning of the season that Sean and Derek were in contact because of the snake advantage, getting Sean's phone number. Derek did. And
to be honest, I think the bigger move would be to pick someone from the Maroon 5, like an Eli, and Andrew, or Jack, that Austin was like, I'd like to get to know them better. And then by making that gesture, save them, right? That tribal.
Yeah, I think so.
Because here's the deal. Like, nobody at this point knows Sean. You don't know if Sean's going to be useful for you. Maybe you haven't even seen season 1, which is premiering at the time that we're playing. So it's like, what if Sean is a dud, doesn't talk to anybody, isn't good, doesn't decide to work with Austin? Like, he just wasted it, and everyone could have just voted out Sean unanimously and saved, right? And then the people who had been playing for 4 weeks already, like, that would have been so easy in terms of that. So I feel like it's great if that pays off for Austin, but if it doesn't, it's like, why didn't he make, right? Why didn't he?
Right, but I mean, I think that's the risk, Hannah. I don't think he obviously knows, but he wants to put somebody who doesn't have any relationships, in their good graces. And so I think in that moment it makes sense. But personally, I think like you, I think that he should have maybe, reached out and saved somebody on another tribe, just because I think that would be better for Austin moving forward. And I also think Mike should have taken that approach too, but we see that Mike actually saves Derek.
Yeah, for me, these choices were just, I don't think they were really thinking to begin with. Like, you want to reward somebody, I feel like, that you've been with, and they couldn't reward each other, although they had been working with each other. Right? And the only other person in their alliance is Erica. And she does have an idol, and she could protect herself this week. It's not like she's alone. But I think the boys didn't understand that they wouldn't be attending tribal until after. but also like we see like they didn't pick Eric. Neither one of them picked Erica, which I think was a huge mistake on both of their parts, because like that you have to, like, I don't know, if you have a family visit, if you have a reward, if you have any of that stuff, you pick your main bitch first. You don't pick your side hoes like Derek. Derek is a side hoe. So at this point, you have to like pay back loyalty, or that loyalty will leave you. So I'm very interested to see what Erica is going to do in these future weeks. Because these people like Mike, Erica, very paranoid people. We've seen it so far, right? Even when someone is promising them the world and trying to make it up to them, they are hesitant. It's just Survivor. It gets to you. And people are just paranoid. So I think I would have liked to see Mike choose Erica and Austin choose somebody from Maroon 5, because I don't think paying back sorry for week 1, Derek, like send Derek home. Because that in itself is like, send the people with all the advantages home while you still can, right?
Yeah, I want to say something about that. Like, I am like, if Derek got this snake advantage that could potentially come into fruition at the merge, and now Sean is officially in the game, why are they the two that are safe? Does that make any sense? Like, how do you all know for sure that this is going to be used to your advantage?
Also, I don't understand. So I don't understand the social. So you save people. I save people based on like the personal relationships I have made with them, right? So it doesn't make sense to me why Austin and Mike chose to save two people, one person that they totally don't know, who shouldn't be playing because it's not a returnee season. Sorry. Like he shouldn't have played. He shouldn't have been playing, period. And we're 5 weeks in and he's done nothing. He gets to skip 4 weeks, and we've seen great players already been robbed and go before that. I don't know. I don't think he's that great. Anyway, and then bold takes. Our show is for bold takes. So I will say,
Hannah is giving the hot takes that you will not get anywhere else. So
I don't think that's fair, and I don't think it was fair Austin should have picked Erica, because like they lived together, they died together, they fought together. Like, what a fucking traitor and a hater to women. And then Derek, look, Derek's a side hoe. Use Derek, educate Derek, get rid of Derek. Boom, he's disposable. Like, he's not. I don't know. I think I don't know what was going on there, but like, and if they had any insight into the other side, they know that Maroon 5 doesn't give a shit about Derek. They don't care about Megan at this point in the game. They are very vocal about who they don't like on Zeleny. So like, maybe save the people that they do like and they do want to work with. And then they'll just pick off the people for you, like your other tribe mates that they don't like. Anyway, but that's my take on the picks.
Yeah. So yes, we definitely know Hannah's take. And then my take generally too is freshman 3. So why not save Erica? Because if you're in an alliance with Erica, why are the two people in an alliance with Erica not saving her? I know Mike apparently did say that he felt confident that Erica would be safe, considering he had heard rumblings of Hannah potentially being a target. So I didn't want to bring that up. That's his supposed reasoning. But I still was a little surprised that you would leave your alliance member alone on a tribe with people that we don't,
Here's the thing.
Considering Erica has so much power, it doesn't make sense.
They distrusted or disliked me so much that they put Erica, right, in danger, and other Zeleny members in danger because they like, what? Like, I don't like, at this point, everyone's still like, go Zeleny, right? Like, you can hold people to that. That could last you 2 more votes. That blind loyalty, that blind tribal loyalty So at this point, they're just throwing it away. And if Erica was an actual danger that tribal, she could have had to waste an idol, which could be used to save either of those boys. Right? So, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't
Well,
know.
without further ado, I do have a guest that is here to talk the episode with us because they are an integral part in the transitional tribal. So, without further ado, here is Jack. So, welcome, Jack. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you guys? It's good to be back.
Yeah, we're happy to have you back. We always like hearing your perspective. So you have even more insight today on this tribal. So I'm really glad that we have you to talk the game with us. So basically we find out that Austin, Sean, Mike, and Derek are safe.
Yeah.
And then the remaining 11 of us are on this transitional tribe. Sean expresses how happy he is to be back. Hannah seems very upset in her confessional about how 4 people from her, on her tribe can't vote. Like it's just like a difficult situation because the Zeleny people are not there to vote with her. And then Maroon 9 or 7 has 7 of them. And then there are 4 Zeleny people, 7v4. So it's like
even worse. I think, and I think they'll release it, the bonus footage. They were slow to release it because they didn't want to spoil the Sean thing until this episode. I think I mentioned like Sean and Derek. I was counting on Sean and Derek to be eligible to be voted for in these next tribals coming up to merge. I was counting on that. That's why I didn't picture myself as the vote. And why would you vote out women? I don't get it. Sounds a little sexist if you ask me.
Oh, no.
No, just kidding. Kidding. But yeah, I don't know. It was the fact that those 2 were saved when it's like everyone in the game probably would have been down to vote them out.
Mm-hmm. Here's my take on it. When I found out about Derek's advantage and he got Sean's phone number, right? Was that it?
Mm-hmm.
At the point of the transitional tribe, I don't think Derek saving Sean had to be done if he would have done a good enough job creating a bond with him before that happened. If Derek got the advantage 3 weeks prior and he had all that time to create a relationship with Sean on his own, I don't think he needs to save Sean 5 weeks into the game. But
yeah, why does Austin need to save Sean for Derek?
I do see why he did it in a way more so than why Mike saved Derek. I do think if you had to grade the 2 moves of who to pick, I would definitely say the saving Sean is high in a way the better pick. But when you look at Mike picking Derek, you clearly see that Mike wants possibly to reap the benefits of this idol if Derek and Sean both make the merge.
Yeah.
And I think leaving Erica out of it, coming from me, the person who kind of orchestrated everything that happened this week, I kind of saw that right away and was like, oh, whatever happened to the freshman 3? Is there a freshman 4 with Derek now? How does Erica feel that, she only has 4 people from her tribe on the transition 11? Is she a floater? Is she going to feel betrayed? That kind of thing. So, in a perfect world, if Austin and Mike were to do that again, one of them should most definitely pick Erica. And then you can decide if you want to pick Sean or Derek with the other one. But I think not picking Erica was a big mistake for them. And, I kind of jumped on that knowing that she didn't get picked. Like, I was standing next to her the entire time. I was like, oh, you're going to get picked. You're going to get picked, nudging her, trying to get in her head. And, when it happened, it's like, uh-oh.
Regardless of the outcome, her being at that tribal and alienating the other leftover people, right, through her vote or through her actions that day, is not is not good for her. It's not good for her.
You know,
I'm thinking
it's definitely I mean, you might not see it this way, or not many people. I think it's a very aggressive move, and it's a very it's an aggressive move because what we see in the edit, she moves to a completely different alliance during a week where no one is safe except for the 4 people that I already picked. There's 11 people, which is an odd number. I mean, anybody could went home because there were so many people, there were so many moving parts. So I think it was a very aggressive move for her to decide to pick a different side, especially because her entire alliance is safe.
Mm-hmm.
If they're in favor of Zeleny or Maroon 9, like assuming they're in favor of Zeleny, that might rub them the wrong way.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the decision required a lot of thought for sure. It's just a matter of, is it the right decision for her? And I'm not sure if it was. Obviously in the next episodes we will see everything unfold. And I do think the hinting to the next episode with her new snake advantage, that could be that. That might be the one thing that could really just kind of get her back in with her alliance if possible.
Yeah.
Potentially.
So let's go back to the aftermath directly after those picks and the challenge. Like, what is going through your guys' heads? Jack, what are you whispering in people's ears? What is, like, I think at one point I heard that Maroon 9 meets up directly after this and is like,
I drove everyone home.
Yeah, Jack drove us home.
So immediately when we get in the car, I think Geneva was sitting next to me. Maybe she was.
Yeah, I was either sitting next to you or behind you or something.
Geneva was somewhere near me, and immediately she's like, "Who do we vote out?" And I think the first, because Andrew and Abby weren't there.
Yeah,
because Andrew left, so it was the 5 of us. And if I'm not mistaken, I think the first name I said was Hannah.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Oh, really? Why?" And I was like, "Wait, never mind. We just need to be united on a decision." And we need to try and figure out what's the best for our alliance. And at that point, I was very, very in with working with Mitchell and Geneva that week. I had all the intentions of working with them and just trying to make it as easy of a vote as possible. But there was just so many other things that I heard throughout the weeks prior from other people where, like, maybe I didn't need their help, or I could get away with doing what I wanted without involving as many people as possible. Because sometimes when you're trying to make a big move and you talk to too many people, it obviously will come right back at you. That was my biggest worry.
Mm-hmm.
If too many people if enough people to form a majority found out, then I was in trouble. But
because that's the thing. I felt like that for me. I was more like I was not within your 5, but it was like, okay, whenever Jack and them seem to need me, then they'll like be like, okay, we need you. Can you join us? But then otherwise it's like, okay, we don't need you. So we're not going to tell you actually what we're doing.
And that's the other thing. Oh, go ahead.
You and Mitchell just wanted to be on the right side of the vote. I feel like
genuinely, I just wanted to be on the right side of the vote.
You were like, how can we just be on the right side of the vote?
I mean, they touched on it yesterday, like how bad Geneva and Mitchell must have felt for assuming the move that they made would put them on the right side, and that just puts them in a deeper hole doing,
But it's also like,
it was
if
one
I went with the plan,
right?
How does that help me either? So it's like either way, I'm in a bad spot because it doesn't help my game.
You did. I mean, in your vlog that was included, obviously you're thinking of yourself, which is the most important thing in the game. So whatever information you had or whatever direction you went was the best move for your game. It's just a matter of, was it the truth or not? And I mean, it could have went anyway. I mean, at the transitional, after the challenge after the challenge ended, yes. I immediately tried to talk to Erica, and I think it was pretty obvious the two of us like went off like where we were, and everyone else was kind of huddled back there. And I mean, I knew I had to do it right there because I was like messaging Erica like earlier in the week, and she was like, "Yeah, we can definitely talk," but it didn't seem like she had any interest in talking to me whatsoever.
Mhm.
And I mean, you could kind of see that when I reached out to her, and like after the challenge, she's like, "You have to realize I do not trust you yet," and for good reason. But I aggressively had to do that there and just get it in her mind a little bit, because if it would have taken more time to get her to meet up with me, then there could have been a different plan. I was just trying to figure out a way to make myself feel safe at that point.
Mhm.
It was more of like, I could easily go home. You know, you guys, I mean, Maroon 9 had 2 chances to vote me out. And I thought, oh, they're going to write my name down at least in one of these tribals. So I was just very worried. It was
I
mostly,
honestly think the reason your name was never written down was mostly because of me, honestly.
I mean,
Like TBH,
it's very
honestly.
possible, because we did talk a lot early on, and we did have very like personal talks. It wasn't just Survivor. We got to know each other outside of the game, and we connected very well. So I definitely think outside of the game, personally, we had a very strong connection. And obviously we still do, but
right.
It's just, I do think aside from the game, you and I probably did have one of the stronger personal connections on our tribe.
And that's why I never really wanted to target you. I think also because of the 5 people, I think at this point in the game, which we don't really see a lot in the edit, honestly, but Jack was really the only person really giving me legitimate information in the game from the 5. So for me, it didn't make sense strategically for me to vote out Jack. And whether let's say if the vote works, then I don't really have an in with the remaining 4. If the vote doesn't work, then I have Jack coming for me. So for my game, it didn't make sense. Now, my interactions with Eli, which weren't also shown in the edit, a lot of them were very like sketchy, kind of suspicious. Like, I don't think we ever really trusted each other at all, to be honest. Which is unfortunate, because actually I think on a personal level, I think Eli and I have a lot in common. But I think even in the edit, he's like, "Oh, I don't trust Geneva because she has an idol." And I'm like, "What? I don't understand that." But
I think I did a lot of assumption making very early on, and even throughout these episodes, because as much as I enjoyed talking to both of you, and I don't think I talked to anybody else more, I knew both of you were just very dangerous players.
What?
And
Me?
you guys
No
both
way.
you guys were both very intelligent, and another reason why I agree, like Geneva's name has not been written down yet, and I think that is because of me. So in a way, we were both kind of protecting one another. It's just a weird relationship because we really weren't directly working with one another.
Yeah.
And with Hannah, I mean, Hannah can attest to this. I did not have a big problem if somehow Eli went home. I admitted to her that there was not, it would not have been the end of the world if Eli would have went home, and that's
the thing with Jack, is that I didn't know how in danger I was that week, because it's like, okay, so do I submit to the power of Maroon 5, and am I so far back in a corner that I have to flip? Because I wanted to have the best of both worlds, and I made that very clear to Jack. I'm like, look, I feel like I'm in a pretty good spot in Zeleny. I was not, but I was like, I feel like I'm in a good spot. Like, I feel like I have, like, people listen to things that come out of my mouth. So like, I'd like to keep that.
Did you
help you?
Yeah.
But it was also like, okay, what is asking for too much, and what is scaring? Or right, what is a red flag to a potential ally, or what is the wrong name to say to Jack, right?
Let me ask you something real quick.
Yeah.
Were you aware of how much of a threat your own tribe perceived you to be early on?
No.
Okay.
No.
Interesting.
I think it's just crazy because our tribe, a lot of us, like, we were always like Megan and Hannah, they're the ones that stand out. Like, if there's some scenario, we probably target them. But it's like weird because I don't like, I guess even aside from that, I didn't realize how big your threat level was. I didn't realize how like literally almost everybody was talking about you.
I mean, I had no idea.
I didn't know it was this popular.
I had no idea there were fake idols anywhere. At this point in the game, there's no knowing from me that there were fake idols anywhere.
I mean, I don't even think that, like, I think, yes, that is scary, but the minute that you know of that knowledge and you can tell the difference, like, that knowledge is power, and then that person, like, the source of that becomes powerless. I feel like, yeah, it's great move on Erica's part to slice and dice when she needs to, right? But I don't think I actually had the power I was perceived to have, right? In communicating with you, Jack, you probably were like, oh, it looked like I was a lot more dangerous than I really was.
I mean, it's like the thing with both of us. I think both of us came off as very dangerous people, even though in the first few episodes, like, I did not look like I was doing much, but that's mainly because I didn't make long vlogs. I didn't vlog about stuff when we weren't in tribal. So
it's like also the only ones that see your vlogs are Luke. So it's like,
right.
It's not about how long you vlog or how many fake idols you plant or whatever. It's about how you communicate with your fellow tribe mates,
Right.
and what you do when you go to the first tribal.
I think
very reflective.
I think we both were okay with creating images of ourselves being aggressive players, because why else would we allow that to happen if we weren't okay with it? I mean, I think everybody knew that we were the super fans, and we were the ones that were playing the hardest, and we were both trying to make money moves and trying to call the shots for our people. So I mean, I do think it would have been a lot better for my game if I were to somehow have voted out Mitch, or someone that I knew would never trust me, even though I had saved them previously. I knew there was nothing with Mitch. I just wanted Daisy's idol gone. And if Daisy's idol was real, then all the stuff I said to Mitch would have just been baloney, because if the idol is real, then he's going home.
Yeah.
You know? So I knew there was no way I could ever trust Mitch. And
That's
I knew
fair.
that Geneva and Mitch were linked, which was hard, because obviously Geneva had every reason to be linked with Mitch, because that was like her number one, and for good reason.
We were alone.
For good reason. I understand why you did that. If somehow maybe voting off, but like you said, you didn't want Addie or Megan gone. I didn't want Erica gone. So I feel like the only alternative would have been
just that when that week came, I didn't have a accurate perception of where I was, and I had no perception, or obviously that's why it was a blind side. I had no idea how that I was being viewed in these ways, right? I thought I was still good with Austin. Right? I didn't know that Mike knew all this shit, or that Mike was the paranoid one and not Erica.
Yeah.
Right? So
I think it's big that I think also what played in it is, this is something that not many people talked about. I think the ongoing uncertainty of the swap and what would happen in the future, like 3 tribes of 5, 2 tribes of 7, like 4 tribes of 4. Like, how many other people are going to enter the game? You know? Like,
yeah, because at this point, if Sean and Derek are full Zeleny, and everyone on Zeleny that ever wore green is together, Zeleny has the numbers.
Yeah, and so that was one of the reasons why I was scared to allow Mitch to go home as much as I didn't trust him. I knew he would flip anyways, but regardless of how the numbers came out for a swap, if somehow I'm put on a team with Mitch, and let's just say there's 2 tribes of 7, and Maroon 5 is outnumbered. I just sent Mitch home in the week prior. There's somebody that I had a history with that I could have, tried to like back him against the wall and say, I saved you.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And first Transitional Tribe, like I think I was pushing very hard, like a member of the 5 has to go home. They just voted, right? They've been together since like the first weeks, and they just voted together correctly twice. And they're probably going to do it again. So like take one of them out. Doesn't really matter who. It really doesn't. You don't have to go after Jack here. He's great for the merge. Great TV. Great, right? Great. Also, you want to keep people that are doing well around. It's just more fun.
I mean,
you also
I definitely have plenty of remorse for the decision.
Yeah. And at one point, like I even said, like, look, like the case to vote out, I don't know where Jen went, but the case to vote out an Andrew or a Summer or an Abby is that, like, if they're not replying to my messages, I don't think they're going to work with me, right? But you and Eli.
Did you reach out to everybody in our alliance?
Yeah, I did. Abby actually did message me, but it was like, you should flip with us. But I don't think that was an actual like invitation because it would have come from you, right? I think it was just playing with me. But I will say, right, the argument to get out somebody that is not you guys is that, like, you and Eli are going to do what you have to do to stay in the game, even if that means cutting, like, your friend Andrew.
Here's the thing, though. As much as the 5 of us were close, I think I was probably the one person at this point out of the 5 that probably talked to all of them the least. I mean, I talked to you more. I talked to Geneva more. I will certainly talk to Erica more. I think I was, at this point, I was so convinced. I was like, these 4 will never leave my side. Like in my vlog, I said, these people are letting me make every decision. Like if they're this content on me making the decisions, then there's no way I even have to worry about keeping a relationship together every week. I already know they're with me.
Right. And it's rough because it's boring. Like I was so suspicious of Aaron first week because Aaron's the one that was like, oh, like, look, Derek lied to me. He's the snake. And it was so easy. And that was so weird. Mm-hmm. It was so easy and simple, and it was just an easy alliance, and it was made, and it felt wrong. Yeah. It felt wrong. Mm-hmm. So I commend you for sticking with something boring that looks like it's working. Yeah. Right?
Yeah. So now we're going to kind of proceed through some of the episode, and then we can talk about the actual tribal itself. So we do see a decent confessional from Erica in terms of length, because she has a lot of information to share about her feelings and perspective of what's going on. She's talking about the tribe swap advantage that she has. She thought she was going to use it, but Luke throws in this, wrench into her plans, and we see the transitional no-name tribe situation, and so she couldn't use it. I think she seemed very disappointed that Austin nor Mike saved her. That was definitely a tough situation for her. And she talked about how Jack was in her ear, talking about, oh, they're going to pick you. They're going to keep you safe. And then that's what happens, and she mentions that Jack and her were supposed to talk, I think the day before, but they didn't. But he, elbows her, says, you're not going home this week. And so they have that sort of conversation. Erica is the snake again. She is not thrilled. She does not want this power. She's just like, I'm done with this.
Yeah, and a little bit about this from the Zeleny side is that nobody knows that she has it at this point. I think, Jack, you said that she told you. But with the exception of that, I don't think anyone else, nobody on our side knew that she had it.
I can't remember if she told me the context of the snake advantage, but she did tell me, like, one night, I think she just called me and was like, okay, I trust you. I have a few things to tell you. I have an idol, and I have an advantage. I don't think she told me what the contents of the advantage were, but she did tell me.
Did Erica tell you about her idol and her things first, or did I? Who told you about her stuff first?
I don't think you ever told me specifically that she had an idol.
Word, great.
Because you were very like, does she? I don't know, but somebody on our tribe has it. I can't tell you, that kind of thing.
I can't tell.
So very sneaky.
That would have been, you know what? I should have just, if I would have claimed I had the idol that week, would have been great.
Right.
Maybe that would have been a solid idea for you, honestly.
If you would have found another tiki man,
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think at this point had already ordered some off of Amazon, correct?
My
Hannah?
Amazon package came this week, so I would have had it. I just went into this tribal not knowing.
If you would have shown that you had an idol that looked exactly like the one that Erica had, I don't even think I knew what the idol looked like. But if you would have threw something out there that looked like, or because you knew what they looked like,
yeah,
it probably would have been like, oh shoot, we cannot do this.
I think that's why this move was so brilliant, is because you didn't tell Geneva or Mitchell, because it didn't get slipped by anyone. I didn't have, right? If I would have known, I am a scrambler. I had fakes. I could have whipped something up, but I didn't know that this was coming at all.
This is what's so crazy, is that I feel like I knew what was happening, but I didn't at the same time. Mm-hmm. Jack proposed it at the beginning of the week. He's like, Hannah, and then he's like, never mind.
But how quickly did I veer off of that?
Like I knew,
fairly quickly. So I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to do much of it.
I knew that it was Erica and I, and I still didn't. And I don't actually knew if I believed that you were voting for Erica, but it was still a shock to see my name. Weird. It was weird.
I mean, I didn't believe they were voting for Erica, which is obviously why I didn't vote Erica.
Who did you?
But the one thing I want to mention.
Who were you assuming we'd vote for, Geneva?
I honestly don't know. I just knew it wasn't Erica. So the thing is, the edit does not really show really much what was going on in my mind that week. So I do want to give like a brief, just what was happening. Yeah. So at this point, I actually really want to vote with the Maroon. I do. I appreciated that they included me in the vote. I know my vote with the last tribal was weird, but I think part of it was I didn't want Daisy to feel bad that everyone voted her out. And I knew Daisy was going home anyway, regardless of how I voted. So it didn't really matter. 2, I was also mad at Mitchell at this point because I didn't trust him. So I just threw a vote on him. And I also think that helps Luke because it makes at least the tribal a bit more interesting. So that was kind of what that vote was. I really actually did want to work with the tribe again, especially going into a swap, maybe depending on how numbers would be. It made sense for my game, but I was looking forward to playing with other people like Hannah and Megan because I did meet them at the meet and greet. But at this point, so I'm thinking Erica. But the thing is, when the group of us met, which we do see a scene of it later where the Maroon 7 meet and we talk about the vote, Eli isn't there. So Eli does not go to this meeting. Eli actually had something, but then he also met with Hannah that night. And then Hannah told me that she met with Eli. And I'm like, why is Eli meeting with Hannah and not his own tribe? To me, I was just like, that is super suspicious. There's something going on here. And then after all the other stuff I had with Eli, like him being on the phone, telling people like, I can't talk game with you because someone in my tribe is there. That's the point where I'm like, Eli is a bit dangerous for my game because if he's meeting with people on the other tribe and we're supposed to vote as a unit, that's where I was more like, I think a way to target the 5 is not target Jack because Jack is still someone I want to work with, but targeting one of the guys in Eli because I think that would be less expected because Andrew was already targeted previously.
I do see all those reasons. Now, here's another thing. The edit did a good job of showing our reactions to the one tribe merge. I did see Geneva and Hannah. I saw both of you hug.
I hugged Geneva. I hugged Mitchell.
I did see that. I saw that. And previously, something from a previous conversation with Hannah and I do remember her mentioning Geneva's name as somebody that she would be interested in working with, and somebody who she thinks is, cool, very personable, which obviously is true. Obviously that's the case, but I'm like, I cannot have them two working together. That would be
the
too
thing
dangerous.
Is, Geneva. I was in Geneva's DMs from the beginning of the game. Being like,
is that true, Geneva? Is that true?
How's your tribe?
DMs, but I was
like, what's the vote? Like, what's it like? How are you guys doing?
I didn't want to get in trouble for talking to the other side, so I'm just like, Hannah,
then Geneva is like keeping me at a distance, right, until a swap. So I was looking forward. So when I finally get to swap with her and get on the same no-name tribe, it's like, finally, she's going to talk to me. And then Mitchell is like coming over every night and, every weekend or whatever. And so so I'm talking to these two from the other tribe. So yeah, I was very excited to be on the same tribe with Geneva. And for me, Geneva was the only adult in the game.
Probably.
Which is also a huge threat.
We had so many freshmen, and I liked Abby. I did, and I wish Abby and Eli would have went to work. I would have worked with them. But for me, I don't know.
I think Abby and Eli are two of the nicer people in the game.
Hmm?
Like Abby and Eli, I think they are two of probably the nicer people that are in the game. And the other thing, with Geneva being the oldest person, she's already proven how intelligent she is with her. Like, she is rationally thinking through every decision she's making, which is very smart. Not a lot of people are doing that. I think that's another threatening thing. Geneva has so much more experience than most of us do, just in life, which people are like, oh, that's not a big difference. It is. Like,
I think for me, my problem was, especially on my initial tribe of Zeleny and just the game in general, I was like, you don't watch Survivor? You idiot. Oh my God. Like, I just judged people so fiercely rather than being like, oh, I like actually want to like be friends. Like, it took me a while to actually want to be friends with certain people.
Yeah.
Rather than immediately being like, oh, you're on the hit list because, right? Like, I don't know. That was like, you're my goat.
Yeah.
Like, you're not actually a real person, that's not a good way to play the game.
Yeah.
Also, one other thing that I wanted to mention about why I didn't vote Erica was, even though I just felt like there was this huge emphasis on, we're going to stick together as a 7. We're going to stick together as a 7. I feel like starting mid to late week, I was not hearing from people from the original Maroon 9, that 7. I wasn't hearing much from them. So, like, I feel like the fact that I wasn't getting reassured about how the vote was going, I felt like there must be something else going on that I don't know about. And so in that moment, I was like, I'm already at the bottom of this tribe. And even though, like, there are a couple people there who like me on this tribe, on that part of the tribe, it's not enough that they want to have a game relationship with me. So at this point, I have to make some sort of move to put myself in a better position. So even if I'm going to get accused of flipping, it's like, what am I supposed to do?
Right.
Vote out somebody that's not, like, it just didn't make any strategic sense to just vote Erica. Because, like, what if in the future, let's say a future episode and a swap, I end up on a tribe with Erica. I just voted out Erica and it doesn't work, so those thoughts were going through my head. And I'm just like, I'd rather just vote out somebody who I don't fully trust. Clearly, they didn't trust me that much either. So I think it made more sense for my game to go that route.
Yeah, right. To keep your vote, like, making sense to you.
It was a very smart move,
Yeah, I think it also, I think on Mitchell and Geneva's part, it was really smart because the 4 Zeleny girls looked tight. They looked like they had their shit together.
Smoothie
King. It would have been 6-5, and it would have been over. Yeah. And and then going forward, it would have been easy.
Yeah.
You would have had somebody to work with, right? Either way, Jen. So
Mhm.
I don't think it was a
But
bad
Jack
move.
did that,
It
he
not-
did that good, yeah. He did that good work with Erica and was like, join us. Have some fun with us.
Yeah.
But I do question, like, do you really want to join the bottom of a 5? That's, you know, like, that's where I was thinking.
That's the big question of the week is, so Mike and Eli talking about merging the freshman 3 with the maroon 5, 8 people. So those 3 want to be on the bottom of a tight 5, in which Jack has already sent out multiple final 3 deals or final 2 deals, right?
I mean, I had at this point, final 2 with Erica, which was recently made. I had a final 2 with Hannah. I had a final 3 with Abby and Summer. I had a final 3 with Eli and Andrew. I think at this point though, the thought of going into an 8 was more so because I've had conversations with Austin and they've gone well. Andrew has vocalized that he is friends with Mike. And at this point, I already knew that those 4 would do anything I said, and we were, tight. But I also think what we might have done wrong in this case was, being so eager to bring Erica to our side, because I think something that Mike and Austin could maybe be worried about are like, okay, if we're going to merge as an 8, but obviously an 8 is really big. If we're going to somehow stay together as an 8, are we the bottom 2 or the first 2 to go? Because they seem pretty confident with Erica because she just voted out Hannah for them.
Right, because they were like, the thing that I don't know if Austin, like, basically they knew about the plot. Everyone knew except the 5 votes on Eli people.
Did Derek know?
Well, I don't
know if Derek knew, but I told Austin maybe the day prior. I don't know. I think at that point, Derek was mad at you because of the fake idol. So he might have known.
No, when I got eliminated, he sent me this like nasty, like, shame on you text. And it was like,
no way.
Yeah. Let's see if I have it. We can read it.
Pull up some receipts.
A little content.
Pull up the receipts, please.
It was just, yep.
Pull it up. Read it.
Monday, February 10th. So I was eliminated.
Spoiler for those who have no idea, but whatever.
February 8th. So this was Monday, February 10th. Hey, Hannah, sorry for the late response. After the stress intensity of last weekend, I kind of needed to take a step back from Survivor to gather my sanity. I'm really sad to see you go, and I am very angry at whoever flipped, but at the same time, I'm hurt and a bit confused. After the challenge on Saturday, I approached Jack and asked him why he had voted you out. He told me it was because you were promising a lot of people a lot of things. And he told me that you had told them my advantage, which he proved to me by reciting my advantage word for word. He also told me that throughout the whole week, you've been throwing out Erica's name. I'm not sure if this is true, and I don't exactly know who to trust at this point, but I'd like to assure you that I will continue to work for the good of Zeleny, and I will definitely be sure to be careful of Jack.
Now, here's the other thing with all that. Why is he stressed and he needs to be taken aback? He did nothing that entire week. Come on, Derek.
Who knows?
Because it's right. I think they're finally realizing, wait a minute. What if Maroon 9 just all stick together? Like, what if they do? And well, Derek knows he's not. I don't know. Like, Erica and Derek are not close. Erica does not like Derek. That's something I know for a fact. So, like, that move really only benefited her in the 5, I feel like. And then Mike and Austin threw Erica, if there's close, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah. So I'm going to talk about a couple confessionals right before the actual tribal where we, find out that Hannah does get voted out. But basically, Eli talks about how the Daisy tribal was interesting. with the tribe merging, he was happy that no one from our tribe actually won because we actually have the numbers with the 7. But he says that the 5 don't trust me because of my idol, and they don't know what's up with me, apparently. So that's something. They don't trust Mitchell either. So that was mentioned. And Hannah shows her beautiful photos. So you want to talk a bit?
Yeah. So I wasn't able to go in and do the whole crazy wall because it was a crazy week, and I was constantly texting Jack, constantly texting the crew, just everyone, trying to figure out who are we voting for, what is going to happen, how do I not get the votes. It was all about surviving, and I obviously did not do a good enough job. Jack, sorry, I could not convince you. But so I moved the crazy wall to my South Campus apartment and just laid it out. And I was like, it could go this way. So it's basically going to be probably near Erica. I'll be fine unless someone over here flips. Like, I basically recite how I go out.
Yeah.
To myself in my own vlog.
In a way, yeah. I'm
so surprised.
Yeah, it's very interesting. It's like weird because I feel like a lot of us knew it was coming, even though we were surprised about it. I don't know. It's just very funny to watch back because I'm like, why was this shocking to me? Because in reality, it shouldn't have been. Same with Nassan's exit. Don't know why Nassan's exit was shocking to me because I did get like hinted of the potential possibility of Nassan from Summer. So it's just kind of funny because it's like these votes that I'm not realizing. Like, I don't know. Yep. It's just because I think usually like in those situations it was like brought up and then quickly shot down and they changed their mind, but then they didn't really actually change their mind. They went with their first thought. And then we do see Mitch talk about the chat that we had. So actually this was not shown, unfortunately. There's actually a vlog where Mitchell and I talked the day after the challenge. And we kind of had like a bonding experience at Starbucks, talking about how Jack, successfully showed me those texts and like made me mistrust Mitchell. And we're just, this is such a nice play, Jack. I'm so sad they didn't show that because I thought it was funny. But yeah, so then Mitch and I were like, good. We're like, okay, well, we need to work together. Basically, however we're going to vote this week, we're going to vote together. It doesn't matter. Like if we're voting Erica, we're going to vote Erica together. If we're going to vote, Eli, we're going to vote Eli together.
And in the course of this week, my job is to flip Mitch and Geneva. I'm the only one that can do it because the rest of my girls are nincompoops. Not nincompoops. I love them, but like I'm going to be the one to flip Mitch and Geneva. It's going to be me. And I'm like, I am getting nowhere with Geneva. Again, Geneva's being like, I don't know yet. I'm not ready to like make any promises that I can't keep, blah, blah, blah. But Mitchell, I knew that when Mitchell was like, when Mitchell was leaning towards working with us, I was like, we're going to get Jen. We're going to get Jen.
Well, the thing too is I didn't want to give Hannah and them false hope if we weren't going to vote with them. I was like, I'll tell you if I'm voting with you guys or if we're not. Yeah. I just made that straightforward. So like, that's when Mitch and I sent a text to everybody. We're like, hey, this is what we're doing. We're voting Eli. This is why we're voting Eli. So we're going to vote Eli. We're not voting Jack. Because we had heard about the proposition to vote Jack. But I'm like, that doesn't make sense for my game at this point. So I'm not voting Jack. So if you want us to vote with you, we're voting Eli.
I was with Erica for the entirety of that. Like that was, I think, the big snow day. Like, so I took the bus and walked to Lawrenceton, and we were talking for a while, but it kind of died down. And she's like, "Wait, like Geneva and Mitch might say they would vote for me, so that would mean you would have 2 numbers that you could like try and finagle with." But when I found out you guys were voting for Eli, I was like, "Okay, that's interesting. Then we can just put that aside."
So if you were still planning to go with the Erica plan, would you just let us vote Erica?
I feel like, so assuming that you guys,
like that would have been really dangerous.
You agreed to vote Erica, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's say we agreed to vote Erica, and actually we're going to vote Erica.
So that means there would be 2 votes for Erica, which would be you and Mitch, and then there would be 3 for Eli.
Yeah.
I think we probably would have still voted for Hannah. I know for a fact we wouldn't have voted for Erica because like she basically gave me 100% trust.
Right. By telling you, yeah.
And I
all
knew
of it.
she was. And the differences between 100% trust with Erica and 100% trust with Hannah is Hannah can make a move faster than Erica to get me out, which was just my perception. I thought I was
you guys,
safer.
quick question. Do you think you guys would have had more trust in, like, obviously Erica wouldn't have, but do you think you guys would have had more trust in if we actually voted Erica?
So in retrospect, as a player, I agree with that statement. I do think my skills, I could have done it with this cast. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I think going back, it's like, oh, I was never a contender. I'm smart. I'm great. But like, I was not. The only reason that move happened is because Geneva and Mitchell decided that it was best for them. And I convinced them, but they thought that they had the numbers. It's not like they wanted to.
Right.
I don't know.
I mean, it was very. I mean, I think like an underrated part of the episode is Mitchell and Geneva deciding to vote for Eli and convincing you guys that Eli should be the vote.
Because Addie and Erica were pushing you, Jack.
Right.
And
like that's
you.
Somebody like Addie who was set on voting me the entire week. All it took was, just a little bit from Geneva. Hey, let's vote Eli. And everyone's like, all right, hey, all right.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And I mean, I think if you weren't in Erica's ear, it would have definitely been probably what would have happened.
Right. And I looked very early on when the swap happened. I knew I had to work really early and really fast. Because we had a week. Those in between challenges and tribals were brutally long, mentally just very wearing. So I knew if I got it out of the way at the beginning of the week, I wouldn't have to do a lot of the harder thinking at the end. In a sense, so I kind of was like, okay, if I could work fast and try and somehow build something with Erica as quick as possible, then I should. But
it's funny too, because you told us all, you're like, yeah, I'm gonna reel in Erica so she can vote with us so that we have 8. That was initially like what you had told us. Right. So it's like none of this is really a surprise, but it was a surprise. That's why I don't understand myself in this game, but it's kind of funny.
I should have let you vote for Addie.
That was
I don't know if that would have, but at this point, I think you are wanting to make move.
I think if you would have been open to the idea, like, okay, so I think what really veered me away from like potentially working with you was you trying to secure Megan and Addie another week, which I mean is rational for you to say, but in my head I'm like, okay, I can't let that happen.
If we could go back in time, I would have recommended to you, Jack, as the tribal is right, as we're sitting down for the tribal, go to Mitch, go to Geneva, and go to I and say, vote this way. But not have it be, but here's the thing, have it be like vote Megan, but then you guys like vote Addie.
Oh, that would have been something. Because
so like vote it, but we can't play an idol or anything if we had any. Like, right?
Wait. Okay.
I know it's crazy. So you would say vote, or you could do I wouldn't throw Erica under the bus because Erica is trusting you here. You wouldn't want Erica to flush her thing here because you want her to keep it because you like Erica at this point.
No, but also because I know everything she has. So that's valuable for me.
Yeah, so you don't need to put any votes on Erica. So all you have to do is tell Geneva, Mitchell, and myself, right? People that you're like, I could work with them. Probably not. They're all like snakes. I don't really trust them. All you have to do.
Sorry, it was so funny to see people call me a snake. I was like, well, I was the snake, right? No, but seriously, I'm just like, I just want to be included in a vote, y'all. Clearly that's not happening. This is like, I'm just trying to survive and get myself in a better position. And that's literally all I'm trying to do.
Or Geneva and I. You go to Geneva and I, you say, vote Mitchell.
But does Geneva do that? Does Geneva do that?
Well, that's the test. It's a test. It's not Mitchell actually going home.
Okay, but who do we vote for? We're not voting for you at this point?
Of course not, because you're wanting to work with me in this alternate universe. You vote for Addie or Megan. I recommend Addie because in this alternate universe, I like Megan, and I still want her in the game because she's nice. So you vote for
Jack, it still could have worked because even though I had that conversation with Mitchell, we still hadn't had a tribal where we proved together that we were working together.
Yeah.
So like, I think for me, like, did I fully trust him? No, but I trust him more than everybody else. And that's kind of the position I was in at that point.
And that would have been so good for TV, Geneva, for you to be put in the position to vote for one person you try, like to put.
I mean, if it was for me to survive, I'd do it, you know?
See, that's what Jack doesn't realize is I would have done anything that week.
But that's the thing is like, I mean, even though I hugged Hannah, I was happy to see her. I think similarly in the game at this point, our relationship is more personal than game.
Geneva, if I would have told you and Mitch to vote for Hannah, just give me like just the fast instinct, yes or no, would you have done it?
I would have highly considered it because at that point I was already watching Hannah. I was already very like weary of Hannah. Like anytime we had talked about her, I was like, she's doing too much. And as you could see, I was very closed off. I wouldn't tell her information. So like for me, I didn't tell her about my idol or anything like that. So like I didn't trust her fully at this point. I needed to get through a vote before I could consider it. But at this time, I was like, who can I work with? I mean, I got good vibes from her in general. And I was on the bottom. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna work with the girls because they seem like they want to work with me. And this may be like an opportunity for me. But at the end of the day, I really wanted to stick with our tribe. I really did. I really did. Genuinely.
All right, another follow. Just quickly, because I have to go in a minute. I'm sorry. But
no, it's fine.
Would you have ever considered giving Hannah your idol?
Giving her my idol?
To save her if you knew like this
I don't even know. To be honest with you, most likely not. If it came to it, I would never played an idol on her. I would be more likely to be like, Luke, give Hannah my idol and then her play it. That would be more likely if I were to do it. Okay. But I would never be like, I'm playing an idol on Hannah. I would have never done that.
But it wouldn't be to save me. It would be to get Eli out.
That would have been funny because we would have had another week to just go at each other.
Yeah. No, and that's more in a sense where I'm like, that would have been pretty cool to have just done it like that.
I would have been a wreck.
But
yeah, I don't think there would have been any saving whatever we had built there. So okay, well, I do have to go.
Thank you so much for joining us, Jack.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. We love hearing your inside scoop. And obviously you were very involved in this vote this week. So it was really good.
We didn't touch on your if she doesn't leave, I'm gonna quit.
Okay, quickly. I will
we don't like her. So we're gonna vote her out.
If you're in all right, this is the last thing I'll say, and then I will go off. The thing that I said was, if you're in the game any longer, I will quit. Mainly because I had 100 million% confidence in my alliance. And if they were somehow to screw this up for me, I would have nobody to trust, which would make me want to stop playing. Emotionally, that was where I was at. Okay. I will talk to you guys later. Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you for joining back. So basically, the episode happens, the girls meet, they talk about who they want to vote, they talk about Jack, but obviously that doesn't happen. Jack talks about how...
Are you talking about the Smoothie King vlog?
Yeah.
Erica is sitting there the whole time like this. Like the whole time, and then it zooms in on her. That's the most fun.
That was
so
really funny, honestly.
Like everyone is just talking at her. It's so funny.
Yeah. So that was pretty hilarious. So Jack talks about how this plan is going to be probably the greatest blindside in Survivor Syracuse history, and based on the blindsides that I've seen, I think it was a pretty good one. Unfortunately, Hannah went home because of it, but it was pretty good. He's like, if he's not the biggest idiot in the world, then it'll work out. But, we want to make a giant move, and they feel like probably it's a move that the other tribes Lenny would be down for, considering there had been rumblings of Hannah already. He says he doesn't trust me or Mitch because we talk to other people, and I'm just like, what am I supposed to be doing? I'm not talking to everybody. I don't know. So sometimes, like, when he would hear the reasoning of why people on my original tribe didn't trust me, I just thought it was funny because I'm like, okay, I talk to other people. That's so bad. But it's like, what else am I supposed to do? You all aren't talking to me.
No, I feel the same. Like, why can't I talk to everybody? Isn't that like the nice thing to do?
I can even talk to everybody at that point.
You don't even have to work with someone. You can just like get to know them as like cast members of the same season and be polite in passing and then vote them out. Like, you don't have to, like, I don't know, like, you don't have to, just because you're talking with someone doesn't mean you're going to work with them.
Yeah.
I feel like that's different. You know what I mean? Like, don't promise anything you're not going to, like, I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. And Eli talks about how this is a big vote this week, talking about having Erica to make it 6v5. They're worried about me and Mitchell flipping, which, I mean, fair. I mean, they kind of left us out of votes or made us have to scramble the past two tribals. So, I mean, why wouldn't we want to flip, I guess? But it's just like they're making it sound like we're awful people for doing it when, like, they've given us no reason to trust them. We're doing what we can to survive in this game at this point.
Yeah, I mean, by doing what they did the past two votes, they made my job very easy this week. And just saying, like, you guys are on the bottom. You see it. We see it. Everyone sees it. And to continue, right, and to not make a move is not doing what's best for you.
Well, that's why I hugged you guys when I saw you. I was like, this is my way out. Like, I was excited. I was like, oh my gosh. I am thrilled. And then I think the night before you were like, oh, like, you should start messaging Addie. And then we, you know, us girls can work together. And I'm like, cool, solid. So yeah, so those sorts of, that discussion is happening. Yeah, so there's just a lot of discussions about votes. And then Hannah did talk about how it was either Jack, Summer, or Erica in her mind. Mm-hmm. She really wants one of the 5 out, really specifically.
Yeah, I really wanted Summer out.
You really wanted Summer out.
Really wanted Summer out.
And you have a secret alliance with Jack.
Yeah. It's so secret. So secret. Nobody knows about it.
Yeah. So there's a lot of that discussion. Meg and Mitch meet in person. They talk about the vote, which is pretty cool. Meg feels good about having me and Mitch on her side. You know, we see Austin talk about what he's been up to that week. You know, he's hoping Erica stays and notices that there is that 7 Maroon 9 versus the 4 Lenny. And so, yeah, that basically happens. A lot of different vlogs, confessionals. We have the tribal going on. It was actually much longer than we saw. They cut out a lot of it, which is fair for time. And so I think one interesting comment that I do want to bring up is Erica does mention that she feels like she can trust her own Lenny members. And she did mention that how Hannah was the only person to whisper in her ear to know what was happening. And Hannah had her back with the first tribal when Aaron went home because Hannah told her right before who to vote for. So I just thought this was an interesting comment. And I know Hannah found this an interesting comment considering what happens next.
No, when she said that in tribal, that was like, that's the first red flag. It's like, no, it wasn't, bitch. That do you not? You weren't happy. You're super. That's super. Just her saying that then was like, oh, weird.
Yeah. And Jack mentioned everyone has their own idea of what's going to happen today. Hopefully, people do the same thing that he wants with his numbers and his alliance. And he feels there are clear lines that are being drawn in this vote will determine what happens in the future. So that's basically discussed. And we basically see who votes for who. So Megan votes Eli, Hannah votes Eli, Eli votes Hannah, Abby votes Hannah, Mitch votes Eli, I vote Eli, Addie votes Eli, Erica votes Hannah, Summer votes Hannah, Andrew votes Hannah, Jack votes
And then
Hannah.
Jack votes Hannah with 3 underlines and 3 exclamation marks.
So much excitement for his vote for Hannah. And then Luke goes, if anyone wants to play Hidden Immunity Idol, now's the time to do so. And Mitch goes, are you sure this fake idol isn't real? The one that Nassan hid that Daisy played at the last tribal. So that was a funny joke. But unfortunately, Hannah was voted out. She was very shocked and it was sad. And I guess you can close us off telling us, what you said in your exit confessional and how you felt.
It was pretty devastating, but you heard what they said. Did you write anything down?
Yeah. So you let everyone down that you were trying to prove something to. It was a very frustrating experience for you. If you got your hands on that idol first, if only.
Yeah. It's like you have
Jack you'd still be in the game. Yes, exactly.
True. Well, it's very frustrating because that week it's like, oh my God, I'm finally playing the game. Talking with Jack is so much fun. I'm Mitch and Geneva, like new fresh blood, like people who are playing the game. And we're making this milestone. You make the tribe swap. You're that much closer to the merge, right? It's getting down in numbers. And like making those milestones is important, and it's important as a fan. But it's also, I don't know, you have a picture of what you think your experience playing is going to be. And like, I had such big dreams and high hopes. And I tried to fit myself into a kind of player that I was not. And it took me a while to learn my style. Also, I didn't know that there were like orgs or live games or other opportunities to ever play Survivor again. So I was like, this is it. This is it. And it's and going home pre-merge is humiliating, especially at the hands of a group that it's like, oh, they never even tried to get to know me. Or Jack, who did try to get to know me, knew how much this meant to me. I'm like, all I want is to make the merge, Jack. And Jack goes, oh, she's going to go home pre-merge. He
and that villain edit. He loves being the villain. Oh my gosh. But yeah, he was upset. He was like, I didn't even make it to the tribe swap because technically she didn't. Because this was weird. I don't even know what this was. But she Miss Transitional Tribe.
Yeah. Miss Transitional Tribe. That's me. Yeah. And so just like that, it's over. It's over. And if I ever played again, I would not do shit. I think
that would work for you, honestly.
I think I would look for idols because that's just,
yeah,
something that you can do. I would not look in groups ever. Okay. Ever. Never look with other people. But I would just sit back and not stress, because if it's over, it's going to be over. It's like you cannot control the cast or the tribe or when your host decides to tribe swap.
Yeah. No, I feel that. Well, of course you'll still be here talking with me.
Recap every week. Right? And that's the fun thing, is that every week someone by the name of Geneva fills me in every week as to what is happening in the game.
I do.
And every week, let's just say it's probably more and more disappointing. No.
But no, you'll see what will happen this season. It gets pretty cool.
I'm very well informed with what did happen after I left, even if I didn't live it. But we will see next week. We see that the tribe swap is finally happening. because this week it didn't, and it was a little tease.
Yeah.
And now we're going to actually see those 4 boys that weren't there play this week. So that's going to be nice to see them again. And it's going to be interesting to see what new challenges come up and the path to the merge.
Will Erica play her tribe swap advantage? We'll find out.
Will Erica play any of her advantages?
Yeah, we'll
next week to find out.
I know next week's episode, I believe, is Friday instead of Thursday because of Thanksgiving. Yeah.
Oh.
So
what?
Tune into that. Yeah, that's gonna switch up. So we'll figure out when we're gonna do our next recap. We'll figure it out. But I do want to thank Jack for joining us.
Yes, thanks, Jack. Wherever you went.
And you can follow Survivor Syracuse on Twitter right here at Syrvivor _Qs. You can also follow them on IG. You see the fun meme Mondays there, and they also post episode takeaways, which is exciting. So check that out. You can follow Hannah.
That's me.
What can people find if they follow you?
They can find provocative, profound tweets and hope maybe some memes. I've made some memes about this season, and I sent them to our meme coordinator, but she has not posted any of my memes. So I'm a little like, should I just post them myself? Go a little rogue?
Maybe.
But yeah, that is what you will find. Some takes on reality TV. And
be sure to like, comment, and share this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel for more content and for more of these to know when I go live and talk fun stuff. And you can follow me at Peace Love Jen on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. We love having you here every week, whether it's live or watching the replay. We love it, and we appreciate you all. So hope you have a restful Thanksgiving, and we will see you sometime next weekend.
See you next week.
Bye, everybody.